Hello, 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 and happy Halloween. Welcome to Mari's Golden Hour. Come enter at your own risk. I love Halloween. And I know I've mentioned this before several times, but mentioning it again, I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it. I have so far been just enjoying the day. I have stayed safe and pretty much just stayed inside. I got a lot of things done I didn't think I would. I actually expected to, lounge about all day and eat a bunch of snacks and just go nuts. But that didn't happen. I started off trying to eat really junky. That lasted for maybe a few minutes, but in the end I ended up having, I pretty much just mauled and chowed down on a bag of butterleaf lettuce. So that's about as hardcore as I've gotten. Although, later on, I did create a spiced cider drink. And actually, something that I ended up creating last month and just enjoyed immensely. And, what did I put? Oh, really, it's very simple. And if you want to find out a little bit more about that, please check out my clip that is on YouTube, on the YouTube channel, Mari's Golden Hour, and I will fill you in there. Let's see, other things Halloweeny. I didn't get a chance to partake in this as much as I wanted to this year, but last year, I don't know if anybody participated in this, but Google, when they do the Google Doodles, they had this, I just call it a Sorcerer Kitty, because it's a kitty that is in a sorcerer's cloak and has a wand, so a sorcerer. Sorcerer Kitty. and it's a Google game. And what the kitty does is defeats all the ghouls and monsters that come at it. And the way that you play it, there are symbols that are above all the ghosties and ghouls and ghosts and whatnot. And what you have to do is with your finger make those symbols. And so I think the different symbols are like a horizontal line, a vertical line, an arrow up, arrow down, and there was one other symbol that they used last year, and I can't remember what it is, but you'd have to make those shapes on your screen. And when you make those shapes, those particular symbols are like knocked out, and you kind of like incapacitate whatever ghoul is coming at the Sorcerer Kitty. And if you make all of the shapes that are above their heads, then all of them go away, or some of them go away. So it's just very, very cool to play. So this year, they took Sorcerer Kitty and put Sorcerer Kitty like underwater and at sea. And there are, I think, sea creatures that come at it as well as the ghosties. But I only had a chance to play through level 1 because I was at work, so I couldn't goof off that much. But what little I did, I was able to enjoy. So go check out the Google game with the Sorcerer Kitty. It's very, very, very fun to play. Something else that I lazed about with this morning, and I had a chance to catch an episode or two before. It's a BBC show. It's called Young Dracula, and I guess it aired on BBC One. And it was on air for 5 seasons. And the lead that's in it, his name is Keith Lee Castle. He is very, very fun to watch. Really fun. And even though it's a family show, I found it very enjoyable, and it is all part of the lineup that Redbox TV has. And yeah, I said Redbox. It's that thing that spits out the DVDs. Well, they do streaming as well. And I have just thoroughly enjoyed watching all the scary television shows and the movies and just whatever content they had. That's all based on the whole month of scary, spooky, Halloweeny things that they've been showing. I've seen some really cool, like, out there and quirky movies, and Young Dracula is no exception at all. So I didn't dress up each week as I wanted, and to be able to showcase and, show off a new costume each week and post it up on the YouTube channel. Schedule just did not allow, and by the time that I did have some free time, I just wanted to sleep and do nothing. But even with that time, I was busy working on other things, and also, I just don't limit costumes and fun with accessories to only one day. I have potential options for it. Some fun things that I can cobble together if I wanted to create a costume. Actually, there's a couple different options I can go with. Probably more if I think about it. But no, for the day, I lounged about in lounge attire. I think one of my costume changes, or my in-home costume changes, had a sort of Halloween look about it, but not really. It was still like loungy. But so I love wearing costumes and getting dressed up when I go out. So again, Halloween is not it for me. Now, will I go out in a full-on pirate costume and just walk about in the street? Maybe. So, it really just depends on what I got going on that day. So, anyway. What else? So, my last week I was dealing with an injury with my thumb specifically, and it has improved, but in a way it hasn't. I'm not pushing it, and then at one point my other hand was beginning to act up just from the work that I'm doing, which it's not highly physical, but physical enough where I'm using my hands a lot. Is that repetitive motion stuff, which I'm being mindful of because I don't want any sort of permanent damage. So I had both of my hands in, what do you call those, splints, bandages, braces, what have you, just to limit the range of motion. So, it's kind of improving, trying not to use my hands too much, but, again, not pushing it. Ooh, finally saw that movie called Enter Nowhere. I saw that from the beginning, and even though I already knew the ending somewhat, I still enjoyed watching it, and I don't know, I loved it. I enjoyed it. It was fun to watch, and it was insightful, and it kept you on the edge of your toes. And I highly suggest it and recommend it. And still digging the end credit music, which is Clean by Brooklyn. So again, that movie is called Enter Nowhere, the song that I totally dig, and it's hard not to enjoy it. It's called Clean by the band Brooklyn. And speaking of bands, still loving and listening to 9 Inch Nails, and I just, loving it more and more with each play, and just appreciating the lyrics and the production that went behind creating all that stuff. That musical genius mind that Trent Reznor has. I don't know how he does it, but I love it. So, not too sure if you're hearing extra noise. There's people that are drag racing. Although a friend did mention something about drag racing, and I do like his take on it, and hopefully I will be able to see it one day. I've also indulged in photos of fall foliage, and it is photos of fall foliage in national parks. I believe if you do a Google search, you can enjoy the fall foliage as well. If we can't travel to it, we can at least do it virtually. So, conversation I had with a friend who's doing like a little bi-coastal work, shared a photo of where they are staying, and so I in turn had to share a couple of pics that I had in my own archives, and through that I recalled, I don't even know how this happened. I don't know if I got invited to a party at this place by somebody I randomly met. I cannot remember how I came about to be in this particular place. And where it is, it's a home. It's a residence. And it's, if I remember correctly, I think it's in a cul-de-sac in some suburb. And the house looks like a castle. Like, it looks like a castle from the outside. And even when you go inside, it has a lot of castle-y looks to everything. It is just fun. And I don't know if the house has been featured in Architectural Digest. If it hasn't, it should have been. But the place is awesome. And the only thing it was really missing was a moat. So it was like it had a castle look to it on the outside and on the inside. But on the inside, it still had like the modern conveniences. So it wasn't like, full on 100% castle. But still, it was like the best version of it. Something else I saw was, and I don't know if that was this week or last week, but whatever. There was a dad who created a Halloween costume for his daughter, and it's a Zoom Halloween costume. And what it is, he took a series of photos of his daughter in costume. And so she's different characters like in all the other squares. The center square is her in real life with a mask. And then the top square that's in the center, that is reserved for whoever she's standing in front of. And what he did is he rigged up an iPad to do the forward facing image that is captured on the iPad. And whoever's standing in front of her is featured in that square. And so in each square is labeled as whatever the character is. And I think that, she had Wolfman and maybe Frankenstein and, the typical Halloween characters and monsters. And then the top center one for whomever is standing in front of her, I think it's labeled visitor it's labeled victim. That's what it is. So I thought that was very, very cool and just very industrious. And, I loved it. What else did I come across? I don't remember if I mentioned this last week or not, or if this came about. I don't know. Time has just been, more on that later. But apparently a Barney live action movie has been confirmed, and apparently it's supposed to be on the dark side. Just more of like a, not like a very special Barney, but just Barney with an edge, perhaps. And Daniel Kaluuya is involved in it somehow. I didn't do a deep dive and research that one, but apparently it's on the horizon. And my thinking is, a couple different things, is that Ed Norton did something similar, at least as far as having a costume character is concerned. And he was in this movie called Death to Smoochie, which I vaguely recall, and I think I only saw little clips of, maybe partial scenes. I don't remember. And also just reminded me of my own time of working on that particular show, which was, I think it was just called Barney Live, and I remember having a really good time working with the costume characters for that particular show. And the rigging that's involved with the person playing Barney, what was going on inside of that person's costume was just, I don't know, it was pretty cool. And speaking of Ed Norton, I actually liked his version of the Hulk. and that's another movie I'm having a very hard time remembering. And I just don't remember why there was a backlash on it. I know that there was backlash somehow, and it was just trashed and panned for whatever reason. I don't know why, and I don't know if a lot of that trashing was something that was fabricated to persuade people from not seeing it or what. Which brings me to a movie that was brought to my attention this week by a friend. The movie is called Come Away, and it stars David, I know I'm going to mess up the last name, Oyelowo. I do apologize about messing up his last name. And Angelina Jolie is in it as well. And I believe both of them also produced the movie. And I'm trying to remember the bit of synopsis that's with it, but it's sort of a, I don't know if it's like an origin story for the fairy tales that are written by Lewis Carroll and Jonathan Barry, but just based off of the trailer, the movie hasn't even come out yet, and they're getting negative feedback on it and hatred and just these asshats, for lack of a better word, and I'm trying to be polite, who are just creating and stirring up trouble where there is none, and for no reason, and just because they have hate in their hearts, which is not cool. So, even though they're getting the negative feedback, sadly, even bad press is still press. And so with people talking badly about it, that gets the name out there and, the movie on people's lips and minds. So I know I ended up clicking on the information for it just to find out, what is this about and why are people upset about it? So it's a movie that I didn't even know was out. I haven't looked at the trailer. I don't plan on watching the trailer because I don't like spoiling the movie for myself. And as it was, I hated having to read the little bit of synopsis that I did on it. But it is something that I will check it out later on down the road. And I don't know, that particular backlash had me reflecting on issues and other experiences that I've encountered in the past, and even this week, it just had me wondering about stuff that happened that I maybe will talk about it later on down the road, but I don't know, just had me wondering about if there were forces seen and unseen working against oneself. So, I'll just leave it at that. It's been a trying week. I call them potholes of life, when mishaps happen. To go down that list, but without depressing anybody, it's just one thing after another, after another, after another, after another, after another, and after another. Had a plumbing situation occur, not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4, and honestly, because it happens so often, it's either 4 or 5 times. All within, I'd say, slightly over a week, and with the last time being like an overflow of the things that are in plumbing to come out and create a lake of sorts, if you will. And that lake spread and spread and spread and spread. And so I was dealing with the situation. And, so I was dealing with that, along with parking enforcement that decided to, we're going to start this back up again. And I thought I was parked in a place that I could park, and apparently I wasn't. So, yay. It was lovely to encounter that surprise. And some good happened, some mediocre happened, some not so good. And just busy, and busy enough where I was just really not getting a lot of sleep, and I realized that I was also snapping at people unnecessarily. Actually, no, in some cases it was necessary, but because I was sleep deprived, I kind of snapped a little quicker than I normally would, but such is life. So I don't know. Tonight is a full moon. It's a blue moon, full moon, and I don't have any huge plans. This podcast and also indie clips that I post, that's pretty much it. Those are my big plans for Halloween. But it's mellow, but I'm enjoying it, and I meant to be a lot more productive, but I wasn't as productive as I wanted to be because of things that were upended, and once I had some free time and slowed down, I really slowed down. But like I said, I still was productive though, and I needed to slow down, and I lounged and knocked out a few things and wanted to snack on all day, but just went to town on some butter lettuce instead. And but when I wrap, I will continue making my dinner, which I'm doing right now, and finish a libation that I created earlier. And then I'm going to get back to some of the spooky ooky TV streaming that I was doing. And maybe even, light some candles for ambiance and wish well for the dead. And just continue enjoying this Halloween. So with that, I will say make sure that you check out my YouTube channel, Mari's Golden Hour. I do post clips there as well as the podcast. And wherever you are enjoying the podcast, on whatever platform you're using, thank you so much for listening and watching things and checking things out. And with that, I will say enjoy your golden hour and happy Halloween. Whoa.